Isabella, quite thanks very much for joining us because we've just seen that the Tate brothers are in a deep bit of trouble here, judging by their latest court appearance. Talk to me about that. Why are they appearing in a federal court in Miami?
There was a big development this weekend for the Tate brothers. They were arrested in Miami by US Marshals under charges issued by British prosecutors. So the Tates charged by British prosecutors for rape and human trafficking allegations. And prosecutors issued new charges, which were revealed on the weekend. And the Tates were arrested under those British charges. And the prosecutors in England said that they are seeking extradition for them. So they're in federal custody right now. They're in a Miami prison. And we are watching to see if that extradition order will indeed move forward.
Now, their appearance in the federal court was kind of a plenary appearance. It was really just to set out what the case was, but quite dramatic though, nonetheless. Seeing the two of them there.
Yes, they were in their orange jumpsuits. My colleague was covering the hearing in Miami. A judge said that they would stay in jail, which means that they wouldn't be released on bail. And their lawyer gave a press conference in which they said that the Tates were innocent and that this is politically motivated. And that they will fight the extradition order. And so, this is the first appearance since they've been arrested. I think many people in recent months will be more used to seeing them traveling around the world, jet setting to different countries. So it was a very different image that we saw yesterday.
To be clear here, they have been under investigation in the United Kingdom for quite some time. There was a previous set of charges. Now there's a fresh set of charges on top of that, and that's why the extradition is being sought.
Yes, and it can be a little complicated to explain. So I will do my best to break it
Mm.
down. So the Tates have been facing criminal investigations in three different countries: the UK, Romania, and the US. And the last time that they were arrested in 2022 was in Romania under an investigation there. And they were in and out of house arrest for several years. And the UK had made an agreement with Romania when the UK also issued charges, similar charges of rape and human trafficking, that Romania would resolve its case first and then they would be extradited to the UK. Since then, the investigation in Romania, there has been some quiet around it, and prosecutors lifted their travel restrictions, which meant they were able to leave Romania and go to the US, for example. And it's in this situation that we see the UK prosecutors now saying, here are some fresh charges. These new charges are fairly extensive. Andrew is now being charged with rape, sex trafficking, and indecent images of a child and extreme pornography. And Tristan is charged with sexual assault, rape, and also sex trafficking. These offences were alleged to have taken place between 2010 and 2017. And so the prosecutors said that this was the reason why they issued this new extradition order. The US Marshal Service arrested them, and that's why they are now once again in custody.
Extradition between the United States and United Kingdom, quite tight in terms of there is a pretty solid agreement there. There has been controversy over the failure of the United States to extradite a family member of a diplomat who was involved in a car accident in the UK. The controversy over that, but that tended to be the exception here. The Americans claiming diplomatic immunity there. So this agreement tends to go back to the war on terror when there was exchanges of prisoners and so on. So this is quite serious. They're not facing extradition charges in some country where the arrangements would be more loose.
Yes, there's a very clear treaty in place between the US and the UK on extradition. And as you say, very few instances since that treaty came into being where the US has turned down a UK request for extradition. Um, we don't know what's going to happen here. The lawyers are planning, for the Tates, are planning to fight the extradition order, and the Tates are both British and American citizens. So we will wait and see what the developments are. It could take several months if the lawyers are challenging this and appealing this before we know. But if we're looking at what's happened before this in terms of extradition, it's very rare that the US has turned down a request from the UK.
Separately, you mentioned there is an investigation underway in the United States into the Tate brothers. What's the status of that investigation?
Mm. When the Tates were allowed to leave Romania last February, they traveled to Florida. This news sort of broke in the middle of the night and they arrived. And the officials in Florida, the attorney general there and the governor, DeSantis, were not very pleased that the Tates were in Florida. And they said, you know, we don't. I think the government said, you're not welcome here.
Mm.
And shortly afterwards, the attorney general in Florida announced that they were opening a criminal inquiry into the Tate brothers. Now, we don't know what came of that inquiry. It's been a year since then, but there is that investigation. As far as we know, it's still open. And My colleague Megan Tui and I wrote a story last year in which we found that the Department of Homeland Security had also opened an investigation into the Tates, and they had been looking at them. It was anti-trafficking agents had been looking into the Tates for several years. So we also don't know the current status of that investigation, but that was the first time we really knew more details about what the US were looking into.
Investigation ongoing there. It seems to be fairly clear what that one is about. The one in Romania probably has collapsed for technical reasons. The UK are clearly quite intent on taking a prosecution here. The extradition treaty, it's very clear, it's very robust, but ultimately any extradition has to be signed off on by the Trump administration. Is there a potential for a wobble there?
Mm. Yeah, and I do want to highlight that the UK is the only country in which there are active charges
Mm,
involving the brothers when it comes to charges like sex trafficking.
mm,
Investigations and charges, they are different.
mm.
So yes, in terms of how extradition works, a judge will need to determine whether there is legal basis, but the Secretary of State will have to sign off on it, which in this case is Marco Rubio. Um, we Our reporting found that the Tate brothers over the previous few years have culminated relationships with various right-wing allies, podcasters, influencers, and people in the Trump administration. We found that that did play a role in the lifting of their travel restrictions when they were able to leave Romania. This is now more than a year ago. Anything we say right now would be speculative, but it seems as though they're in custody, and yeah, we will see what Marco Rubio does. But even for the U.S. Marshals to arrest them, there would be involvement from the American side on handling that extradition request from the UK and moving forward with it. The Department of Justice has to sign off on those orders.
Yeah, because the allegation is that in Romania there was possibly interference, possibly just an approach, possibly just a casual reference, which, did appear to be inappropriate from the American side.
Yes, in Romania, our reporting found that there was an order from the highest levels of Romanian government for the Tates to have their travel restrictions lifted. There was also earlier reporting that the Tates had come up in a conversation between the special envoy to the US at the time, Rick Grenell, and the foreign minister of Romania at the time at a security conference in Munich. And the Tates have spoken widely about their relationships with the Trump administration. They've publicly supported Trump. And that is what our reporting found, that there was an order from high levels of Romanian government to, have the travel restrictions lifted. However, I do want to note that there at that time were no active charges against the Tates in Romania. The investigators there had issued an indictment. That indictment had been blocked by the Romanian courts, who said that there were issues in that document. And the Romanian prosecutors had been saying, we are still investigating, and here are what our investigations encompass. The Tates had been accused of coercing dozens of women into pornography, including a 17-year-old. Andrew had been accused of raping a 15-year-old. And so, but as far as we know, the Romanian prosecutors were still looking into forming an indictment and forming official charges against them. And in the meantime, the Tates lawyers had argued that since there were no active charges against them, them being detained in Romania could be a human rights violation.
Okay. Okay. So obviously, we'll see how.
So it's complicated.
Yeah, but we'll see how those legal processes play out now, because your point is what's happening now in the UK is very different to what was happening in Romania, where there weren't charges. There was an active investigation. The United States, active investigation. In the UK, there are charges and there is an extradition agreement. So different level altogether. Can we talk about the Tate brothers then? Why is Andrew famous? What is it about him that has propelled him to kind of worldwide notoriety?
Yeah, so we need to go back to the origin story for them both. So Andrew and Tristan Tate, they are American and British. They were born in the US. Andrew was born in Washington, D.C., and their father is American, Emery Tate, and they have an English mother, Eileen Tate. And eventually the parents split up, and their mother brought them to the UK to live. And they settled in Luton. And that's where Andrew first began training as a kickboxer, and built up a profile in that sport. So he won several titles in his weight class. He fought professionally. Now kickboxing, I'm not, a sport expert, but I think that it has very specific categories when it comes to weight classes. So, he won championships in those weight classes, and he often, both brothers talk about their upbringing and coming from humble beginnings, coming from living on a council estate and not having much money, and part of their story part of their brand really is that they have managed to overcome these challenges and make something of themselves and build, an empire of wealth and, self-discipline and, pushing to high levels of success. So, but that all came after the kickboxing. Andrew talks in interviews about how he started wondering, how to make money. And kickboxing is not one of the sports where you can make a lot of money like others, right? So he has talked in, interviews about how he pivoted then to getting some of his girlfriends to work with him in a webcam business in which they chatted to men online and streamed themselves, and he managed them. And that was the beginning, I think, of this era that he was in, where he built up a business from doing that, and began sharing more about his opinions online. Um, I would say the peak of his notoriety, or one of the peaks, came in um, after Big Brother. He was a contestant on this reality TV show in Britain. But before too long, he was kicked off the show for after a video emerged that appeared to be of him hitting a woman with a belt. And, he and the woman uh, came out and said that this was a consensual encounter, but ultimately he was booted off the show. And then the second wave, I think, is when he started posting a lot about his opinions on women. I think saying, even when he was on Big Brother, you can see on a website that he had, he was saying Andrew believes that a man should be able to sleep with as many women as he wants, but that does not apply to women. Um, and then later on, he began sharing more of those opinions online. And the basis of it is that he believes men are superior to women, men need to be in control. And those opinions started to get a bit more attention. And it also came as he was making these connections with prominent influencers in the right wing in the UK and later in the US. Um, so yeah, if there's something else
Yeah,
to say, yeah.
he's also had very controversial comments about sexual assault victims, you know, suggesting that they're to blame for what happened to them. He's got views about women that they're basically involved in kind of transactional relationships with men, and that it's a form of consensual slavery and things like that. It's what we now call in the mainstream the manosphere, I suppose.
He is one of the most prominent figures in the manosphere, which is this ecosystem of influencers and podcasters that talk about the definitions of masculinity and talk about often, men gender relations, and it can be very macho and hyper masculine. And Andrew has in interviews shared his opinions, which are that he said after Me Too, which was that reckoning about allegations of sexual harassment in Hollywood and further workplaces came out. Andrew said that women should bear some responsibility for being raped. And he's also said that mental health conditions don't exist. He's called women sheep in interviews and said that they need a man to guide them, that they are not made to make their own decisions and be independent. These are extreme opinions that caught attention online and spurred conversations. But in our current media ecosystem, those kind of opinions and that kind of outrage can beget more attention on people.
Yeah, as you say, part of the manosphere, but that translates into being quite influential in terms of the social media space, having a big hold over young men in particular who follow and listen to the views of people like this.
So in 2022, Andrew Tate was one of the most Googled people on the internet, right? And around that time, we began hearing more reports of his name coming up in schools in the UK. So, we did, teachers were telling us that Andrew Tate references were coming up and being made by young boys. They were talking about Bugattis, they were talking about rape, and it was making some teachers very uncomfortable. In fact, there were efforts and workshops specifically aimed at talking about Andrew Tate's philosophy around women and why that was misogynistic or why that was toxic by teachers themselves to young men. And so there has been a lot of concern about the impact of his um, messaging on boys who are, you know, as many children are and as many teenagers are, trying to understand their place in the world, their own definitions of what it is to be a young man. And they're also looking for guidance and looking for mentorship. And at that time, Andrew Tate was coming up as a name. And there was a lot of concern from British officials. I do want to highlight a survey that I pulled recently, and it does note that I think at one point there was something like over 90% of young men in the UK were aware of Andrew Tate and who he was, but a far smaller percentage of them said that they had a favorable opinion. And this is a YouGov survey in 2023. And of the young men and the young men who did have a favorable opinion of him, the messages that they resonated with were his take on work and success over his opinions on women. That's not to say that there weren't concerns on how the messaging on treating women was impacting young boys. But I do want to note that, as I mentioned, their origin story is, as they put it, about coming from humble beginnings and working hard to overcome them. And that is appealing to many young men who I think are struggling with what it means to be successful in today's world.
He's pivoted this into an academy where he can basically teach you how to be successful in life, and it's become a significant revenue stream for him as well.
Yes. So one of the ways in which they have built their wealth is offering self-help courses to teach them how to build wealth and how to become successful. They have had several quote unquote programs, universities, Hustlers Academy, The Real World, which offer them a access to a community essentially of other young men. And I think we got a little insight into their financial situation in 2024 when the UK authorities basically accused the brothers of tax evasion, and a London court ruled that the British police could seize about £2 million from bank accounts associated with Andrew. And so they said, that between a period in the 2010s, the brothers had made something like £21 million, which include, online businesses, adult entertainment sites, to name some of those revenue streams that the brothers have had.
Yeah, and then so Andrew is the more prominent one. Tristan kind of lives in his shadow, kind of a obviously similar upbringing, also pretty successful at kickboxing, but he's not as prominent as Andrew.
Yes, the brothers are quite close from appearances. They travel together. Tristan also was a professional kickboxer, and they refer to themselves as business partners and going into business together. Yeah, and they seem very close.
They talk as well about their own upbringing, their father's discipline having an impact upon them.
Yes, that's right. Their father was a very well-known chess player, but both of the brothers have, on social media and interviews, talked about their father being abusive and beating them, and how that had an impact on them growing up. They've also been pretty complimentary about their father and said that they learned a lot of things about how to be a man from Emery Tate. So it it's something that they seem to, in their words, say was influential on them as children. And yeah, it seems like they have they credit their father for things like being disciplined and um, yeah. But at the same time, I think their father passed away a few years ago, and they have lived in the UK primarily with their mother.
Isabella, are all of these investigations and allegations and now charges, is it are they actually damaging the Tate brand?
The Tates have denied all criminal wrongdoing. They've come out very strongly against this and said that um, they are innocent. They are not guilty. And I think it is notable that they have sued quite a few of their accusers for defamation. So in the US, one of the women who had traveled to Romania to meet them, um, uh, and later gave testimony to Romanian authorities before returning to the US, the Tates have sued her for defamation in an ongoing lawsuit there. And um, they basically have, even this week, their lawyer has said that that lawsuit will clear their names. They've also sued a woman in California who said that when Andrew visited there last year, he assaulted her and he abused her. So, the defamation suits have shown that the brothers are addressing these allegations by broadcasting their innocence. Um, but of course, I think things have changed from 2022, where they were well known for their opinions. And now, as more authorities, in these different countries have come out with announcements of investigations and, in this case, active charges, these allegations are also um, something that has become a part of their story.
Okay, Isabella Quay, thank you very much for joining us and giving us that update.